Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Hello. I'm from Crossref. I think most of you are familiar with Crossref, so I won't go into all the gritty details, but whoops. Okay, there we go. We're a not-for-profit membership association, and a lot of you are members. We've registered over 88 million scholarly content items on behalf of our members. We offer a lot of metadata that is open and available for interrogation. We offer persistent citation linking. We assign identifiers to funders. We have metadata on corrections and retractions and updates on scholarly items. And we have an open REST API and search function that is available to everyone free of charge. And we're also, I'll talk about this in a minute, are going to start recording and delivering data about content activity, just how research is discussed in social media and data set links. So all of our members send us basic bibliographic metadata, but we're also collecting information about a lot beyond that, about who's funding scholarly content. We're collecting information about the long-term preservation plans of items, and also very relevant to what we're discussing today, we're collecting a lot of license information about items. We're providing full text links for text and data mining. We're collecting information about clinical trials, so you can connect a clinical trial to the research outputs. And it's all available through our REST API. You can easily see what works have funder information deposited. You can see what updates or retractions have been deposited, what licenses have been provided for items, what ORCID IDs have been registered for items. And so this is kind of important in the context of what we're discussing. We don't do any work with open access metrics, and we don't, collect information about what's green or gold open access, but we do have, or we want to have, a lot of information about the licenses for items, and that is a very reliable way to identify what's open access. Our licenses are collected, our license metadata follows the recommendations of the NISO ALI recommendations. Let's see, I have an example here. Yeah, so we have a URL to a license. We have, we collect information about the start date of a license. You can collect information about embargo and archiving information. The challenge, and this is really relates really well to what some previous speakers have discussed, and what I was actually in the session prior to this on measuring impact. We collect all of this license information. We have a free to read tag that's included in our that you can include in our metadata that would very clearly identify what's been open access. But as you can see, I mentioned earlier, we have 88 million content items. We have about 25 million items with license information, which seems like a decent amount, but a lot of that is from Elsevier, honestly, because they do a really good job of identifying with us what the licenses are for the items they register with us. We have this free to read tag in our metadata, which not a lot of people have deposited with us. And that is, a lot of that is kind of on us. I think we need to do a better job of communicating to our members that they can send us this metadata and why it's important that they send us this metadata. As you can see, I think it could solve a lot of problems if this metadata was comprehensively recorded in one place. And we do have a kind of I wouldn't say it's completely comprehensive. We don't have everything, but we have a lot of the major and minor scholarly publication recorded in our databases. So what we're doing on our end, we're trying to kind of tell better stories about why you should be sending us this metadata. We're trying to make it easier for you to send us this metadata. If you do have information about licenses that you aren't sending us, we accept that metadata in CSV format, which can makes things a lot easier for some of our members who don't have the resources to do this themselves, or their vendors don't support this kind of metadata. They can just kind of stick it all in a spreadsheet and send it to us and get that added to their metadata records. The other thing I wanted to talk about in this context is that there are a lot of discussions and scholarly research that take place on the web outside of publisher platforms. That's kind of a given at this point, and it's been a large point of discussion. There's a lot of discussions on blogs, sharing surfaces, and social media. We see this activity as being made up of a number of individual events, such as a bookmark, a comment, something that's shared on social media, or a link. We've recently launched a beta of our event data service, where we're trying to record all of these events. We're trying to collect data for all these events. We harvest data from Twitter, from Facebook. We are collaborating with DataSite. They're hosting a similar service, so we're recording when someone records in their DataSite metadata that they're linking to a Crossref DOI, which is awesome. So for example, we are recording events like an article is linked from a DataSite dataset by its Crossref DOI. An article is referenced in Wikipedia using its Crossref DOI, Twitter, and Facebook. And we're not just using the DOIs, we've done a significant amount of analysis, because we found that in scholarly publishing, a lot of people link using DOIs, a lot of librarians link using DOIs, a lot of users link using whatever URL is in the URL bar. So we've done a lot of analysis to kind of figure out just to link up those URLs to the DOIs they're associated with. So this is a really good way, we hope, of measuring activity around an item. And if you combine that with the metadata, flagging something as free to read, you can see how that could become a very powerful way of measuring how open access is discussed on Twitter, how it's discussed on Wikipedia, how it's discussed on Facebook. This, of course, is only going to work if we get the metadata from publishers. And as I mentioned, we're going to be doing some more work to make it easier for you to send us the metadata. We're going to communicate with people how important this is, work with vendors and platforms to make this easier to supply to us and to identify the value of supplying this to us. And that's all I have. Thank you.